My dad used to send me to the store in Damascus, Virginia. Find it on a map. But anyway, small little town. The biggest thing that goes through there's Appalachian Trail. Wonderful place. But he used to send me to the store about 2 blocks down the road when I was a kid on Saturday mornings to go get donuts. So I had come across some teenagers with a buddy of mine that we had spooked their horses somehow when they were riding by. They chased us around for a little bit. But when you're like 9 or 10 years old, it's like your world's coming to an end because you're going to die. So I ran home crying like a little Nancy boy. And so Dad sends me, it's Saturday, it sends me back to this. It was called the Minute-ette. And so I go to the Minute-ette, and he gave me like this 1955 3-speed bike. I didn't even know they made such things. And the thing took an hour to get pedaling. This rusty bike. So I finally ride this thing rather than walk down. I ride to the Minute-ette and buy the donuts. Well, guess who I see in the store who's bagging groceries? Or actually, who's like stocking. It's that dude who was on the horse that chased me. And he like grinned at me and winked like, you know, that weird, I'm going to get you type thing. So man, that old lady couldn't hand me the money fast enough. She gave me my money. I bounced out of the door as fast as I could, passed the bike and ran home with the milk and donuts. And then Dad made me go back and get the bike, which was like the scariest day of my life to that point. The point was I needed a way of escape real quick. And so I left that bike behind. This video is about Jesus providing an escape. I'm Zach with the Quest for Greatness, and this channel is just about a relationship with God. And we're trying to show you what that is in real practical terms. We're trying to do it through looking at the truth and also by dispelling myths about Christianity. I'm glad you're here. Come along. Look, it's about more than just committing sin. That's the first thing to remember. It's more than just the act of sin. That's what Jesus is getting into in the Sermon on the Mount, as we call it, in Matthew chapter 5 through 7. So in this context, he's talking about not just the literal sin of physical adultery, because some people could say, well, I've never, had sex with a woman outside of marriage or a man or whatever the case is, so I've not committed adultery. And Jesus said, look, if you're doing that in your heart, if you're lusting after a woman in your heart, then you are, in fact, guilty. It's not literally adultery, but that's exactly what leads to it. And this is still about heart. It's kind of like 1 John 3:16, right? Where it says, any man that hates his brother is a murderer. Well, not literally a murderer, but what do you think murder comes from? From hatred. So the whole point, whether it's lust or hatred or what have you, is talking about what lies behind sin, what causes it, the intent. And that's where sin comes from. We've learned that in other videos about James chapter 1, that it starts with the desire. That's what the devil uses to tempt and twist and turn into sin. That brings about death. And the barrage is constant. And any man knows that the way God has made us, lust is a problem. So this is a huge identifier because it's something we all deal with if we're honest. And it's just moment after moment, day after day, those fiery darts like Ephesians 6 and verse 16. So I got to know first, if I'm going to escape this, I've got to know where it begins. All right, so let's put this into action. And Jesus provides an escape. I didn't read the text beforehand. I'm going to read it now. Matthew chapter 5, 27 through 30. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery, but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. That's kind of extreme, wouldn't you say? There's a lot of scripture twisting that goes on when it comes to Matthew chapter 5, because people are like, no, I cannot turn the other cheek or pluck out my eye or give everybody that asks of me. But Jesus is saying a lot of hard things here. Does he really mean? I like how he just says it too, like, cut your hand off and throw it away. Okay, just random, like, throw your trash away. But what he's saying is do whatever you can. This is what you need to remember. Do whatever you can to escape from sin. Whatever extreme measure you got to go to, it is not worth you going to hell. So does he really mean pluck out an eye and cut off a hand? Yes, do what it takes to stay out of hell. And you're going, wait a second, this is not what we're expecting. Yes, do whatever you have to do in order to stay out of hell. He doesn't want you to go. You don't want to end up there. Now, does he literally mean it? No. Here's why. Because lust is not just a right eye problem. It's like, well, this is the one that's really bothering me. I know that's my left. So just plug this one out. No, and your right hand is not the only one that gets you into trouble. He's just using extremes here to show you how important it is to go into heaven and not even literally lame, to leave this earth lame, than it is to have a full body or complete body and then lose our souls. So extreme measures can be warranted. What's my point? Well, if you want to talk about extreme measures, let's talk about the cross. It took extreme measures to save your soul and my soul. All right, so remove the weights. Hebrews chapter 12 says that in verse 1, we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. In chapter 11, let us lay aside every weight. We used to play basketball with weights on. Yes, I used to be athletic. We used to play basketball with weights on, and you'd be amazed after running around for an hour with a vest or ankle weights on how much you felt like you could fly when you took those off. Well, how much better could you live this life if you got rid of all the temptation, you got rid of whatever was in your way, and you did crazy things like cut off your internet or your cable, or moved away or quit your job, or did things that just looked nutty. And speaking of that, read Hebrews 11. That's a bunch of people that did a bunch of stuff that looks really nutty, but they did it because they trust God and because faith was more important than what they could see and what they could experience in that way. And sometimes it's people, all right? If we're talking about getting away from sin, sometimes it's people. Luke 17:1, he said to his disciples, temptations to sin are sure to come, but woe to the one through whom they come. Matthew 16:23, but he turned and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. One of his leading disciples called him Satan. Some people you may even have to cut out of your life. Some people you may have to distance yourself from to keep from ending up in eternal punishment. And sometimes it's places. There are 3 chapters in Proverbs dedicated from a father to a son about avoiding adultery. In Proverbs 7, verses 7 and 8, the father says, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths, a young man lacking sense passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house. Sometimes it's the places you are, the people you're around, whatever you do, try to avoid temptation as much as you can.
All right, it's that time again. Question of the video. Your time to get involved with the video and comment below or answer the question. The question is just simply, tell me something or tell us something that you've had to give up or go through or put aside to escape a temptation that was really just weighing on you.
All right, so this has been about Jesus providing an escape, and he does. God always provides an escape. See 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 13, but I have to walk through it. I have to be aware, and I have to take those opportunities and get as far away from sin as I possibly can. I'll read you one more scripture in Matthew 16. For whoever would save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. But what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? So what will you trade to keep you out of heaven? What will you trade? What will you give up in order to make sure that you're righteous with God? Jesus went to extreme measures here, but it's a way of escape. And so what? We got to give up for a little while. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's helped you in some way. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe down below. If you liked the video, if it helped you, hit that thumbs up button. And better yet, answer the question, comment, let us know what content you're interested in, questions you might have, anything you might disagree with, and we appreciate it.